Hey everyone, how are you doing today? You know, sometimes I like to think about life and realize just how sad some people are. I'll give you a quick example. So last year, I was in a dorm that only had a handful of laundry rooms throughout the entire building. Even though the population of the building itself was small, the fact that there were only 6 machines meant that doing laundry was a painstaking and competitive task. This further becomes enraging when people just forget to take their shit out of the machine and leave it in there for hours on end. Normally, I was one of the good boys who would wait until the people who didn't bother to show up on time to take their laundry out to come back. I'd come back in an hour or so after doing something else to see if any machines were open and wait my turn. Spoiler alert, they never came back and it was a pain in the ass every time I had to do laundry. Eventually, I just decided on a system that benefited both parties involved. I would wait in the room for 15 minutes, and if they didn't show up, I would pick their stuff out for them and leave it on one of the machines. It was honestly for the better because half the time, I would come back an hour later and their stuff would still be on the machine. Well, one time the roles were reversed and I was on the receiving end of this. I was keeping track of my time and knew that my laundry was about to get done, but there was something that I had to get done that would only take a minute. I think I'd use the bathroom or something. So I did that first. The time ended up being that by the time that I made it to the laundry room, it had been 5 minutes since my laundry had finished. I walked into the room only to find that all of my clothes were now on top of one of the machines and somebody else's was in the dryer that I had been using. 5 fucking minutes. This person could not wait 5 minutes for me to walk down the hallway and grab my shit. They didn't even wait 5 minutes either since both of us had a sizable amount of clothing and they were already gone by the time that I got there, which meant that they basically waited for the timer to go off and then immediately started taking my stuff out. I could only ever imagine being that fucking impatient. Then there's also the example of people I will never meet in life. These are the people who basically live on social media and they think they're some hot shit celebrity because they look good and have a million followers. Like, they'll think they're entertaining because they have a bunch of likes on their post with a thumbnail that has their ass hanging out for literally no reason. If any of you have Snapchat, I guarantee you that you have seen this because this is literally all that is ever posted in the recommendation tab. They'll be dancing for a TikTok or whatever with maximum cleavage showing and be like, I'm not a fucking porn star, dad, I'm an influencer. Bitch, you get paid to shake your ass in front of a camera so that people can watch you through a screen. The last time something like that happened, they made Jeff the Killer. You can't really shame these people though, because any of us could become just like them with the proper conditions. At the end of the day, they're just flawed humans like the rest of us, trying to figure out life as they go, making a few dumb decisions along the way. Which is exactly what I'm talking about this time. So sit down, grab yourself a Coke. I've got something to tell ya. So, our little tale begins back when I had just finished 8th grade. My friend was throwing a 4th of July party with his family and decided to invite me and a few of our other friends. The party wasn't actually on the 4th, it was actually on the 2nd, but who cares. This party was actually different from the ones that I had gone to previously because it was actually a sleepover. I remember getting there around 2 in the afternoon, which meant that this party lasted pretty much all day. What made this party interesting was the location of it. We'll call the person who was hosting the party E. E's house was too small to host a party inside, but surrounding it was a large yard, a forest in the back which went pretty deep actually, a park nearby, and a trampoline. The trampoline was eventually going to be our location for sleeping, but that's for later. I don't actually remember much of what happened at the start of the party, so I'll skip to the point that I start remembering things around the late afternoon. At the time, all of our friends had arrived and we were just hanging around messing with E's bikes. While he had some regular bikes and scooters, my fat ass decided it was a good idea to take his decked out tricycle for a spin around the block. I don't exactly remember why, but I do remember that I was riding towards them trying to playfully run them over, only to get my face whacked by a low-hanging tree branch and then losing control and crashing into the gravelly area right next to the street. I don't even remember what was so funny about it, but my friends thought it was the funniest shit in the world apparently. After this, my friends decided that it was a good idea for all like 10 of us to head to the gas station for a snack and some drinks. I wasn't planning on buying anything, but I stuck around because why not? We started our walk heading down the street and noticed that there was a flat screen that somebody was throwing out on the curb. Almost in sync we decided that we should pick up the TV and carry it back to the house. We didn't even know what to do with it, we just wanted to take it. It was decided that if it was still on the curb by the time we got back, it would be ours. As we were walking towards a gas station, which, mind you, was a pretty long walk, there was a car filled with 5 older guys driving past us on the street. We thought nothing of it until one of them threw a can of 7-Up at us and then bolted off down the street. Being pretty pissed about it, we immediately began to run for them. The car winds up stopping and one of them was about to get out and go home, only to turn around and see all of us running at them like a herd of elephants, and he hopped back in and decided to flee. I don't really know why they did that, considering the fact that we had just gotten out of middle school and they were at the very least high school age, but it didn't matter. The point is, they ran off and we continued our trek to the gas station. When we got there, the woman at the counter was kind of freaking out because there were so many of us and started getting worried that we might steal something. So she told anyone who wasn't buying to basically leave. After we had gotten our snacks, we went to the nearby park before we started heading home. Along the way, we noticed that the TV was still there, and so we grabbed it and hauled it all the way back to the house. We joked about how we looked like a bunch of little hooligans who had just stolen this TV from some random person's house and we walked down the street with it. When we made it back, we put the TV into this little back area in the woods where a couple of other computers had been destroyed by E. I believe it was Double A, as we'll call him, who wound up stomping on the screen of it and shattering the entire thing, which, again, we thought was funny for some reason. Another blur kind of happens at this point, so I'll skip to that night. This is the part that we were all excited for happened. The Great Firework Dodgeball Tournament of 2016. Essentially, what had happened that night was that a bunch of E's uncles had bought a bunch of fireworks for the party that they had given to us. And by a bunch, I mean a lot of fireworks. Like an entire 3 bags worth of fireworks.
Sorry, Bart. I can't serve booze to a minor. It ain't right.
I'm here to buy fireworks.
Oh, hell yeah.
Most of them happened to be the ones that were designed to be put into a bottle and then launched into the air because they seemed the most appealing. Well, being responsible preteens to teens at the time who understood that pain and death were a big no-no, we decided to play a fun new game for the whole family. That game was Firework Dodgeball. How the game worked is that 3 of your friends who knew how to tie wicks together took about 30 bottle rockets and tied them all around in a circle in the street. Then, one of them who was quick with both a lighter and their feet, in our case, R, as we'll call him, would light the tied wicks together so that they would all go off at the same time and then run away as quickly as they could. The objective was then set: survive. As the rockets went off, we would all run up the hill as quickly as we could, nearly avoiding flaming rockets as they whizzed past our heads. I remember turning around at one point and seeing E's older brother literally dodging a shining yellow ball that was flying at him at like 20 miles per hour and being about 2 inches from the flame. It's no wonder this is the same night that I got a bad cut on my leg because I wound up falling into an uneven grass at some point. We didn't even stop after the first round either. We just kept doing it until we eventually ran out of fireworks for the night and headed back towards the house. After such a tiring game, we all needed a breather and sat on the logs right next to the broken electronics that were in the woods. From a distance, we could hear E's mom drunkenly singing karaoke to some 80s pop song, which we were all kinda laughing about. Since it was still relatively early in the night, about 11 I would say, we needed a new game to play before we went to bed. That's when we came up with the idea of having a game of hide and seek in the middle of the pitch black woods. Rather than having one person do all the hunting, we decided to have a hunter and a hider team, with the hunter being allowed to have a phone flashlight on them. I was originally hiding with E before my body started to ache because of the previous fall. So we both decided to give up, go inside to grab some jackets to keep us safe from the pointy branches of the trees, and join the hunter's team instead. After E's older brother and his friends left, we decided to add a secondary rule, which required the hunters to actually tag the person they found in order to win the game. We ended up finding a couple of people who basically gave up right away, hiding in little crevices right next to the bushes, and then struggled to find the rest of our friends. To give you a good idea of just how dark it was by this point, the only light that we could actually see in the woods was a dim glow coming from the house a few dozen yards away. We wound up finding R, who immediately bolted in the direction towards the house and then disappeared. To this day, I still have absolutely no clue how he got away from us. Because when we tried to chase him, there were too many trees on our path for us to get through without taking our time to push ourselves through. Like, this man just straight up turned into fucking liquid. I have no idea how he got through that so easily. We basically gave up immediately after that because there was just no way we could ever catch him. Only to be freaked out when we heard our friend A, singularly this time, call out to us from atop the branch that he was sitting on 15 feet above us. With it getting laid out and all of us being tired from the party, we went back to the house to get some sleep. Now, as I said before, the house wasn't big enough for all of us to sleep in, so we ended up sleeping on the trampoline that night. I was one of the lucky ones who actually got a sleeping bag that night, which I then used as a cover to put over myself and lay face down in so that none of the mosquitoes would get me. I remember looking over to my friends who were laughing about some animated porn that they were watching on their phones. I don't even know what the fuck they were doing, but I just went to bed. Waking up the next day, I felt like absolute dog shit. My face was badly burned and I was slightly sick from all the sun and fireworks soot from the previous day, and my body felt sore from the trampoline. I remember waking up and feeling like a castaway on a raft, waking up in the middle of the ocean not knowing where I was. At around 10, I left and went back home, having enjoyed my night of fun and stupidity. So, as you can tell from this story, all of us have done some dumb things in the past that we might find foolish later on. Would I ever do it again? Maybe, but not to the extent that we did. Do I regret it? No. In fact, I find it one of my most cherished memories from my pre-high school days. Back then, the world just wasn't as scary, and I felt like I could take so many more risks than I could do today. But, I'm getting off topic. I hope that you enjoyed my story, and I will catch you all later.